So, good morning. Today, the boot is on the other foot. We're used to the law being used against the people of the global majority. Today, it is the other way round. This is the global majority against the Prime Minister, against the Chancellor, against the Business Minister, and we're holding them to account. We're holding them to account for their crimes, for their ecocide, for their genocide. We're bringing the law back home. And we're confronting the law with this basic proposition. Can it be lawful to pursue a course of conduct that is destroying the conditions which make the planet habitable? And if their answer is yes, we know these courts are irrelevant to real justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And yeah, as the Global Majority Versus campaign, it's important that young people are bringing this case firstly and foremostly, because we know that it's our generations which are on the front line. We know that it's our generations that have been written off as sacrifice zones. We know that it's our families in Africa, it's our families in Asia, it's our families in Abiyala who they're prepared to resource loot and steal our resources and exploit our lands in the case of a 4-degree world. So what we're talking about are crimes against humanity. We're talking about crimes against our families that we know and we've been more than familiar with for hundreds of years. And what today represents is not us taking a plea to the UK courts or taking a plea to the government, because the government is on trial by the ordinary peoples of this world who recognise that it's our time to take law back into our hands, because if law is the expression of the will of the people, then if these courts fail us today, then we have no other recourse than to get on with what we've been doing, which is defend our rights ourselves. And that's the history of the resistance of our families around the world. That's the history of the resistance of the majority world and the people who don't have the time to wait on the Royal Court of Justice to make a decision or a ruling on their rights. And so today we're challenging Britain's imperial history, and for us as Africans, this is a case of reparatory justice, because until our crimes, the crimes that have been perpetrated against our people, the legalised lynchings of our people are acknowledged, then the course of repair is not possible in this part of the world. And that is where we are at today. And so we present that challenge to the courts, because the courts have a chance to prove that they are independent, to prove that they can step out beyond the British establishment and its crimes, and prove that they can step out and be on the side of the people. And as long as they continue to fail that, we will be able to prove before the whole world who are paying attention, before our global communities who are paying attention back home, that these institutions are not worth their time and that they are Mangamese crime scenes. And any crime scenes that are deemed Mangamese crime scenes by our people have to get shut down, like all the other crime scenes which are looting our resources, which are extracting our resources, and are displacing us and pushing us off the land. And that's what today means today on the 25th of November 2021. That the UK courts have a chance to redeem themselves through at least one element, one judge who chooses to step out in the history that isn't unfamiliar to the British people, to step out and stand on the side of justice and to stand with the global majority rather than the establishment minority.
So why is it important for you today?
As our brother Covenant has just said, it's incredibly important that we're here to hold these institutions to account. Our case was denied on grounds that our human rights are unarguable in these courtrooms. And so that is why we're here today. We continue to exhaust the appeal process, but it's more for our own communities to know where the Royal Courts of Injustice will stand in the side of history. And then it will be taken to higher levels and higher levels, because this is a fundamental issue of justice in terms of right to life, right to family life, the right not to be discriminated against. If that is not upheld or at least seen to be safeguarded before those rights have been violated, then we know that these courts are complicit in carrying out that violation of what the government is doing on a global scale, even just by the money that it finances on a daily basis into the global climate atmosphere. Our air is literally on fire with the UK government of the corrupt corporations that we're dealing with.
Thank you.
We'll be likely to run the programme, so we're going to bring the microphones over. So if you want to click the microphone now.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, wonderful. If you just come with me for a second. You need to switch this mic with one of the radio. Yeah, okay. So, yep. I'm gonna face it
balamusizaako baganda wange mwenna b'ebitiibwa yonna yonna gye musinzidde nga nze nsinzidde mu Kampala Uganda nga Pan African nga mulidde eddoboozi lya muganda wange njagala kubeera nga nnyongerezaako eryange nga mbakunga mbagamba mujje mutwegatteko nga 25 November 2021 tugenda kubeera nga tukiika mu courts nga tubeera nga twanjuluza ensonga eziruma abaddugavu mu nsi yonna nga kwobatadde n'oba ng'oli muddugavu ng'oli mu UK ng'oli muddugavu oli mu Mexico tugenda kubanga byonna tubyanjuluza nga tusinzira mu courts UK n'okulwekyo mbakunga mwenna mujje mutwegatteko abagenda okubeera live mu UK mugende mu courts n'abo abagenda okubeera nga bali mu Africa mu nsi ez'enjawulo mutwegatteko mu mitimbagano egy'enjawulo nga Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube n'ebititimba ebisigadde bigenda okubeera nga bifuluma mu maaso kaawo tweyanziza tweyanzege.
I'm a witness of cruelty and inhumanity. This is a toxic river. Its name is Santiago. It's located in Juanacatlan, Jalisco, Mexico. It's so toxic that just by drinking a single gulp, you can fall in a coma and die 3 weeks after. I dare to assert this because an 8-year-old did it and died. Our governor refuses to prohibit companies like Nestle, Hershey, and Cytec from destroying our ecosystem. While the governor and these companies are increasing their fortune in massive ways, they're destroying at the same time the health of the people, the water of Mexico, and therefore the water of the world. I refuse to be a complicit in this, and I won't stop till this changes. It's important that the world knows about this. We can change this. It's only a matter of fighting together. We must unite.
Right, just as it is, I suppose.
It's a sound they're trying to get to.
Another event. I only just got back to Glasgow, but I think you've been like very busy in London as well.
Would you like to say a few words as to why we're here?
We're starting at 10.
Okay. Oh, how you feel? I'm gonna. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be really hard.
I'm so sorry I'm late back. I had to get on the bus. There's 3 of them.
Oh, we're starting, I think. Huh? We're starting now. They've fixed the sound.
They fixed the sound. They're starting. Well, if you want, Nick is everywhere. Everyone's away.
Good morning, Global Majority. Good morning, Global Majority. That was lovely. Can we all? Is the sound okay? Because all I hear is mad echo. Well, we greet you with the abundant blessings of our families globally. We greet you knowing that it's also, today is not just about us here. It's about our communities on the front line in resistance of the violations of their rights by the criminal establishment that is here, by the British establishment that has nothing but historic contempt for the majority of the world's peoples, and therefore for our ancestors who can't be here with us but are always here with us in spirit and carry us through to times like these, for us to bring their voices and the voices of our martyred heroes and sheroes, our freedom fighting forces and those who have died in defense of our rights, to allow us to be here today. So just to put it in context, my name is Governor, this is Sister Ade. You'll be familiar with Tim Crossland of Plan B. And with Stop the Malgamisi We Charge Genocide Ecocide campaign, we brought our charge against the UK government for its violations of our rights, of our people's right to life, of our people's right to family life, and for our people's rights to not be discriminated against. But we know that is an impossible challenge. We know that is an impossible challenge for us, an establishment that rules on the premise of white supremacy, on imperialism, on Euro-Americanism that sees the world and people racialized not as white, as other, as sacrifice zones, as people that are worthy of just being shown contempt. And that is a history of genocides, a history of brutality. And so in opening today's court case, and the reason why we're here, we'll start by mentioning that this is of course a time when we should also remember in quiet those who have come before us and those who have died for us to have the opportunity to be here today. And with the world of escalating crises, it's more important than ever that we hold those people in our hearts, because we do not expect to walk through the challenges and the path that we walk through, knowing and expecting to live normal full lives when we know that there are future generations after us who must come. And we must also be able to be handed down what we have passed to them. So I'd like to invite my Auntie Mary from the Take It Back movement, who will just lead us in a few moments of quiet. In which time we invite you to please come down, and if you have any offerings for the vigil space, that we hold that moment in quiet together, thinking about those who this day is about. Thank you, Auntie.
Good morning, all, and thank you for coming. I welcome everyone here today. Today is an historical day where we're challenging the atrocities, anomalies, and sad occurrences that is happening, and particularly that concerns the British government. So much has gone on, and many people have paid the price of losing their life for this. We have the Ogoni, 9 Ogoni in Nigeria. They were killed all because of their oil. The oil belongs to these people, the indigenous people of Ogoni land. And you can imagine a place where there is oil, how damaging that could be to the environment, which had affected the lives of these people. And we had some people that stood up against this, spoke against this, and they were killed. Hence we have the 9 Ogonis. We also have in Ghana, the Ashanti, where we have killings, all because of what belongs to them. We've got so much that has gone on for so long, and we're here today to say enough is enough.
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 We're challenging this. We know it's going to be a rocky ride, a rough ride, but we are up to the task. I commend the global majority versus the Royal Court of UK courts. I commend every one of us for the work that has started. It has begun, and we're going somewhere. Again, like I said, many have died, paid the price of their lives in the course of this. And so much is going on even as we speak, in Africa particularly, and other parts of the world, in Mexico, in so many other parts of the world where they've been oppressed and repressed, suppressed. And we cannot watch and allow this to carry on. So hence, we're taking these steps, and I commend everyone, and I say, well done. It's the right step to take. We have made the decision to take this step, and we're going somewhere. Recently, we had a massacre in Nigeria. And where does that stems from? Last year, that was 2020, we had the youth who rose against the injustice and corrupt system of Muhammadu Buhari in Nigeria, for instance. And this youth went on protest, very, very, very peaceful protest. That was televised and saw all over the world. And on the 20th of October, they were massacred. There was argument that there wasn't a massacre, no one died. But last week was a landmark of judgments by a judicial panel that was set up that proved that there was massacre. And due to this, we have an ongoing massacre again against the people that stood as witnesses. This is going on everywhere, in Africa, in Asia, and all over the world. I've mentioned Mexico, America, So we're not going to look on anymore. We've taken the right step, as I said, and we're getting there.
Yes.
We're not stopping until we win. Woo! Woo!
And so just with that, we'd like to invite you all to a time of quiet reflection, of just a minute of quiet, and in particular when the news continues to hit us of the violence against our brothers and sisters and siblings around the world, when the British establishment chooses to look away, that we think about those 30 or so migrants just crossing the channel, who were crossing the channel escaping the harm that was funded and continues to be financed by an establishment that takes no interest in the rights of the peoples of the world. And so it's not just those people, but it's the many, many thousands of unsaid names, including the names of one of our campaign members, Brother Elon Koko Dade, that we take a moment of silence. Thank you. And so just to put it in context, why are we here today? Why is it that we dare to come to the Royal Courts of Justice, so called, when time and time again, if you ask anyone in our community, the skepticism with which we've been met for bringing this case here to an establishment court that time and time again has proved itself incapable of the justice of ordinary peoples. Otherwise we would not still be here. We would not be here having to make this challenge, daring the establishment to do what it's failed to do time and time again. And so today, we should be clear that the human rights violations, our people's right to life, our people's right to family life, which we brought before the government, it was the government's response that any impacts of its policies would be reasonably and objectively justified. That is the language of the UK government in 2021, when it bold-faced is capable of saying to the world's peoples that genocide, that multiple genocides, that mass displacement can be legally justified. And to the challenge to the courts, who have already tried to dismiss the case, who have already argued that our rights are not arguable in court, the challenge to them is to say, are you capable of standing away and standing with the global majority? Are you capable of standing with us when we don't have time to come to you and plead cases? Because the case to make today is that you sit on trial by us. You are on prosecution. Because if you fail today, what we are forced to do, what our families around the world are forced to do, cannot be stopped. And history will absolve all of those, all of us, who are forced to take the law into our own hands, when the rule of law has proven itself incapable of our justice. And so we're going to hear from my sister, Chaos, because these witness testimonies that are being heard are ones of those from around the world. And so we'd like to invite one of our sisters to speak on what today means for us in our communities.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sara Cordobes Lopez. I come from Colombia. And I'm here saying my full name in front of the Royal Courts of Justice because I'm no longer afraid of the hostile environment that the UK establishment has perpetrated against migrants for generations. I stand here today because I am witness to the destruction that the UK establishment has ravaged upon the land that I come from, Colombia, and importantly to the continent that I belong to, Abya Yala. Abya Yala is the name that the Guna people gave to the so-called Americas before colonization broke the bounds that held together the continent in resistance and unity. I stand here to give witness to the fact that these courts, the royal courts of justice, are being put on trial each and every day by communities of resistance on the front lines. I stand here today to give witness that the justice of the people will not come from these buildings built on the dispossession, the genocide, and the murder of cultures, languages, peoples, and bodies all over the world. I stand here today to give witness that the true justice of the people is being created in places. This is not a dream out there. This is being created today in communities all over the world. In Mexico, in the Zapatista resistance, the law of the peoples. In Colombia, in the unity of resistance during the national strike, El Paro Nacional, there in Cali, where the youth that were standing in the front line against police repression, a police that was trained and funded by the UK military and the UK establishment, my generation, 140 lost. And they were standing in solidarity with the CRIC, with the National Indigenous Congress in Colombia. And they were actively saying that they were following the laws of the originary people of the land. Youth, ordinary youth all over the world are taking up resistance because it is objectively and reasonably justified. If it is objectively and reasonably justified that genocide is perpetrated in the name of liberalism, of eco-fascism, it is objectively and reasonably justified to resist and rebel. And that is what I ask of you today. Not only to stand in solidarity, but to understand the role that you play here, the role that you play in your communities, of raising that consciousness that justice doesn't come from the establishment, but it comes from the people. La ley del pueblo, that's what it means. I stand witness to this destruction, but importantly I stand witness to the resistance, and I ask of you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And now from our sister Ade.
I'm just going to read a small extract from my witness statement that is being submitted into these royal courts of injustice, because it's incredibly important to recognize that I don't speak just for myself, but I speak for millions of other young people that look like myself. Because I'm a first-generation British-born African, born in Lewisham, and my family's heritage is difficult to trace when the roots have been severed due to the displacement of enslaved peoples and indentured workers, in my case from Africa and India. As a result, my family, like many other families, is scattered on almost every continent. My right to life cannot be separated from the right to life of my family, both those who are alive now and future generations, who do not have a voice or a vote concerning the trajectory that this government, the so-called defendants, are pursuing, which is one of violence, extractivism, neoliberalism, and ultimately death for us all. When I think about the threat to my own life arising from the government's inaction, I'm not only thinking about current impacts, I'm also fearing the consequences of social breakdown and what that means in countries that I'm from, such as Nigeria, Jamaica, and Trinidad. And we've heard from Auntie Mary, who's spoken of the very real impacts for young people in Nigeria on October the 20th, 2020. We are already witnessing the vast scale of loss of life and displacement in the global south, as set out in the report by Dara International. And more recent research shows fossil fuels are already causing nearly 9 million deaths a year globally, which is a conservative estimate. We are now seeing the sacrifice zones extend from the global south to younger and future generations everywhere, which was already apparent through the COVID-19 pandemic, that our futures are being sold. The government has full knowledge of the threat to life. It knows what needs to be done and is not doing it. It's not doing it, and it's not doing it fast enough. This is a breach of my right to life and countless others. While some might survive such temperatures in the global north, they are and will increasingly be a death sentence for the majority in the global south. In the words of Professor Johann Rockström, it is difficult to see how we could accommodate 8 billion people, or even half of that. There will be a rich minority of people who survive with modern lifestyles, no doubt, but it will be a turbulent, conflict-ridden world. That does not make me feel confident that the majority of people are being considered in these government's plans. And as a so-called British citizen with the majority of family in these parts of the world, it's heartbreaking, but it is not a place for us to lose hope in, because we know where the crimes are being committed and we can trace the financial flows. We can hold people accountable for the harm that they're still continuing to put out, even after the so-called COP26 conference, which was a colonial cop-out. Because this, let us be very clear that this is an extension of colonialism, and people have been raising the alarm that this is coming for centuries, and they have been ignored. But these people are still resisting and fighting, and these are the people's traditions that we stand in, that we will take into the courtroom as we go ahead. I'm just going to jump ahead, just to say that my own and others' mental health is bound up with the impacts and experiences of our global families and my global family, particularly when those impacts are linked to extractivism, excess pollution that is not necessary, and consumption in the global north. People without that family may be able to blind themselves to what is happening in a way which is not possible when it's your family and friends on the front line of these so-called sacrifice zones, engineered by the industries and policies of countries like the UK. It's deeply emotional for us as young people from the global majority. But this is not an emotional fight in the same way that it has to be a fight on all fronts. It's an intersectional fight. It's an intersectional fight because the people who are being displaced the most are women and children. And with my young cousins in the Caribbean, predominantly in small island developing states, I do not have faith that in the world leaders to guarantee their safety. And if these so-called courts of justice are unable to safeguard our rights and say that we're only victims when we're dead, then what good are those pillars of justice? They don't mean anything to us anymore. And that is the point that we are going to have to get to as young people and as people from racialized communities, because they want us to lie down in this moment now so they can continue extracting and continue preparing for what is to come, because it will be hell on earth.
We've heard some of the elements. We've heard some of the elements of the many voices that are being represented and amplified in the courts today. To those whose voices cannot be carried from the banks of the river Ancobra, where the Wassa mines, funded by the British establishment, have polluted those waters, killing young people. So the communities who were there, who are rising up, are getting gunned down by British-funded arms. Those voices all are represented in today's case, because the majority of the world's peoples, are building our very own court. That is the court of international public opinion, the court of peoples, the International Tribunal of Peoples, where we hold those accountable not on the basis of pieces of paper, not on the basis of statements, of fancy speeches, but on the basis of rebellion, on the basis of action, on the basis of taking back our resources, of taking back our lands, asserting our ancestral rights to self-determination, our indigenous rights to be who we are, to be fully existing beings as a community. And when we return to that communion, that global communion of life, when we unify that people's power, that is the only thing that we are yet to do. That is the reasons why we are still here today. Because we are yet to unify people's power, to connect up our resistances such that there is nowhere else to look but to the links being made between the Zapatistas, between Pueblos Unidos, between those in Canada, between those indigenous peoples, between the Massapuntu Matawa Jafric, our Council of Indigenous Elders and Chiefs, in West Africa building a Pan-African vision of repair and solutions, when there was nowhere else to look but there, and that struggle is ours. That is the future we are building. That is the future that young generations are taking up to stand for. And because the royal courts of injustice, so called, which we see as blood-stained benches of crime, of criminality, remain here, removed from the peoples, we've had to take our fight inside the courts to expose that they look nothing like the resistance of the people. They look nothing like me and you. They look nothing like our indigenous chiefs. And they look nothing like the systems that they have tried to destroy, but we've held on to. And so, with that said, I'd like to invite my friend, Tim Crosland of Plan B, to put in context what today means. Thank you very much. Tim's been working super hard to support the legal case. So yeah, hold up, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you, Kopina. And good morning, everyone. Good morning. And this is going to be a good morning, because this is the morning we are bringing the law back home. The law. L-A-W. Land, air, water. The law of life. The first law of life without which there is no life. Today we are bringing the law back to the land, the air and the water, and we are bringing the law back to the peoples and communities who have been defending that land and that air and that water for centuries and for millennia. And as we do that, we remember our brothers and sisters who have fallen. We remember Brother Elon Daden. We remember also those who are defending the land here. James Brown, who is in prison for his courageous act of rebellion, and others who are imprisoned last week. It is only if we bring our communities of resistance together from south to north, we bring our rebellion here into solidarity with those fights of resistance that have been going on for centuries. It is only then that we stand a chance against this criminal enterprise. But what we see now is that that predator economy that has been preying on the global south for so many centuries, we see the true logic of that. That predator economy is turning into the cannibal economy. It is devouring its own children. And this is what we're going to do today. We will present to the court the horror of what is happening. We will remind this court that even in its own traditions, it is there to defend life. And we will lay this proposition to the court. Can it be lawful to pursue a course of conduct that destroys the conditions which make this planet habitable? Can genocide, can ecocide be lawful? And if your answer, court, is yes, all you do is you condemn yourself. All you do is you mark your irrelevance to the people who defend the real law. And we know it is over for you. But there is a choice. This court has a choice this morning to remember that it is there to uphold the real law, the law of life, and we're open to anyone. We need everyone to join the global majority, because the global minority is not the way of life. Thank you.
So with that, there's other ways that we do communion, which include hearing our voices and elevating our voices in the ancestral traditions of our griots, and having that communication today. So we're going to welcome Zena Edwards, who will hold some space for us with some beautiful words of poetry.
Good morning, everyone. I'm actually in the mood to sing today, and hopefully you'll sing along with me. But before I do that, I just want to make a comment that I want us to begin to stretch our imaginations. We are actually living in the imaginations of these colonizers. And with violence and with fake religion, they managed to manifest their imagination. And their imagination led us to this point where we are now. This is also a moment where we can allow our consciousness, our conscience, tap into the global consciousness to expand and stretch and feel its muscle, stretching your imagination to what this world could be that we could live in. And this is the kind of fight that I'm proud to be a part of. This is the kind of fight where I want to see the global majority, black and brown voices put at the forefront, put on the platform, put on the stages where they deserve to be. Put on the stages where they need to be heard, where everybody can hear them, so we can lift the rafters off of this roof that pretends to be a house of refuge. That fakes it every single day, telling lies to people. I'm sick of it. I want to live an authentic life. And I want people who are my brothers and my sisters to live authentic lives, where they can walk in their power as human beings, fully embodying what that means. Where we can have love, where we can have joy, where we don't have to be in fear of violence, where we don't have to be in fear of our lives every single day, because we have these kinds of, I don't want to use that word, the parasitical nature of this country. I've had enough of it, and I'm sure we all have. We're at a point now where we need to start raising our voices, and together we can do that in song. There's a lady called Diane Reeves, a jazz singer called Diane Reeves, who had a song called Endangered Species, and originally this song was written for women who experience domestic violence. And I believe that we are committing domestic violence, or these people are committing domestic violence on the planet, on Mother Earth, and her children, which is us. I want us all to imagine ourselves at this moment in a state of creation. We are artists. We envision and imagine the world that we want to see in the future. So imagine yourself right now as an artist as I sing these lyrics. You can join me if you feel you can catch along. We are an endangered species, but we sing no victim song. We are human and we are artists, and we know where our voices belong. We are here, we exist. I shake my fist with these words from my lips. My mind is set and my body is strong. I sing of a rebirth, no victim song. No, 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 no.
'Cause we are an endangered species, but we sing no victim song. We are humans and we are artists, and we know where our voice belongs. I said we are an endangered species, but we sing no victim songs. We are humans and we are artists, and we know where our voices belong. The system is blind, it binds our feet. To silence this skin, no freedom of speech. I work all day so I can find peace, 'cause space so violent inside to peak. Na 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 na. 'Cause nature is life, this earth has got rights. We'll fight for her freedom all of my life. The road is long, but the struggle is strong. Shout justice and peace, our victory songs. Na 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 na. 'Cause we are an endangered species, but we sing no victim songs. We are human and we are artists, and we know where our voice belongs. I said we are an endangered species, but we sing no victim songs. We are human and we are artists, and we know where our voice belongs. Sing after me. So we are an endangered species. We are an endangered species. But we sing no victim songs. We sing no victim songs. We are human and we are artists. We are human and we are artists. And we know where our voices belong. And we know where our voices belong. Let's go one more time around that. Said we are an endangered species. We are an endangered species. But we sing no victim song. But we sing no victim song. We are human and we are artists. We are human and we are artists. And we know where our voices belong. And we know where our voices belong. Because we know where our hearts belong. Because we know where our hearts belong. And we know where our souls belong. And we know where our souls belong. Because we know where we belong. Because we know where we belong. And manifest the world that we know we should be living in today. Fight these people. Yeah!
Okay, so we're going to move into a time. We're going to just move into a time where people can offer their own reflections and solidarity of how this case relates to them. We're going to have some drums sounding from now about, but we'll be entering the courtroom at just about 10:05 because it takes a while to get through security. But I will hand over to Wayman Bennett now. Yeah, co-chair of Stand Up to Racism.
I want to start off by bringing solidarity and greetings. And I want to say this. Have a look on the wall, on up there. You'll see a griffin and a unicorn. That's because they don't exist. And that's because justice here doesn't exist. It's a myth, something that they put up there to present to us as a way of going forward. My family come from Jamaica. They were forced there under slavery, and they say to us they do not understand where global injustice comes from. I say it very clearly. Have a look at the City of London. Have a look at these people. Have a look at the 50 top companies that pollute the world, and have a look at them. There's names next to them. They're not invisible. It's not an invisible system. It's a system that's built on violence and continues to use that. The disproportionate wealth that has come from here has always been based on exploiting people. And I'm proud to stand here because there's a man called William Cuffrey. People may not know who he was. He was a person that formed the Chartist movement in this country. He was taken to court here, by the way, and transported to Australia, and his rights were taken away. So we're not standing here alone. We're standing here as part of a tradition. He was a black man. He was led by a black and white movement, the Chartists, the movement that called for women's suffrage, that called for justice. And we're part of that movement. today, we should understand this year 10 million children will die. They will die. They will die of poverty, and they will die of the very diseases that are organised here. Now, you're telling me that's not a crime? They have these programs on television, they call them cold cases, don't they? Where they go back and find out who the criminals are. But we know who the criminals are. When we pulled down a statue, Constance Captive, we told it to go for a swim inside the Bristol Channel. That was the right thing to do. It was justice delayed. We know who these people are. The question about bringing them to justice requires rebellion. It requires rebellion, it requires resistance. They don't like that word because what they want to do is control the way that we resist. And then what they also want to do is divide us. They say this person should resist this person. You're from the north, you're from the south, you're from this country, you've got a little bit more than somebody else. We should bring walls, we should watch people drown. So when I see those people drown in the channel, they're our brothers and our sisters. And when I hear this question about what's causing them, you caused it. I tell you, one day spending on war would end world poverty. One day spending on war. So don't tell me there isn't a solution. But I tell you what's hard. Is that the way that they get to us is breaking our resistance. They say, you do as an individual, become a lawyer, which we do need, by the way. They say, do this, but do anything as an individual. Don't do anything collective. That's a mistake, yeah? Do it differently. And I think the way to resist is to do it collectively. I'm proud of the economic freedom fighters in South Africa that pointed out the thieves that are here. I think that it's not, it's an insult to Peppa Pig that we have a Prime Minister who's a pig, that doesn't realise he's a pig, that he represents pigs, right? And these are the people that are responsible for what takes place. And sometimes they sit down and they call us idealists. We're not idealists, we're human beings. We're human beings and we recognise that we don't live off other human beings. They're called cannibals, which they talk about. They're the cannibals. They're the people that make us feel that we can't resist and change. But sisters, remember this. Everything that we've ever got has come from resistance. They say they ended slavery. No, they didn't. Toussaint Louverture in Haiti ended slavery in a rebellion. That's what happened. That's why slavery ended. They said they gave women the vote. Women took the vote. They took it. They took it. It wasn't given to them. They demanded it and take it. So when they say to us they're going to maintain the status quo, they tell us things in Latin like we don't understand. It's the same shit, doing it over and over again. That's what it means. Let's translate it. But we have to remember something else. We come from a tradition of resistance and rebellion. You don't get money for that. You won't get an OBE. You won't get a knighthood. But you will be part of a class of people that are built on resistance, where everything we've done is on the side of what's right, and everything they do is on the side that's wrong. Now, I'll put it this way to end up with. Have a look. I'm not expecting much from justice. I remember once being taken to the Old Bailey for fighting the fascists. And when I looked up, I saw the thing of justice, and I noticed his eyes were looking over to the west where the money was, and his black side was looking over to East London where the poor people were. So I knew what justice I was going to get. That's the question of it. But the point is, you only get justice by resistance. My grandfather told me that when he was in a rebellion, he told me this. He said, the door that squeaks the most gets the most oil. So never forget one thing, it doesn't matter if you don't win a victory every day. What matters is that you resist, you organise, and you plan to overcome. And what we have to have is black and white, unite and fight to change this world for something that's better. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Wayne. Thank you. We've got about 5 minutes, so we're going to hear from Sarah from Global Women's Strike very quickly.
Thank you, Eddie. I'll be very quick. We're glad to be here. We thank the young people that are bringing this court case because you're doing it for all of us. We are here, we're descendants of enslaved people. We're from subsistence farms, from small farms. We're indigenous. We're working class people who've been exploited, and we all need reparations. We've been fighting for 500 years. So we're here to collect. We look at the wealth in this building, that's our work that's been stolen from us, and we're here to take it back. We're here for those who drowned trying to cross the channel, and we know there are thousands and thousands of others. Those are our people, our sisters and brothers, and we need justice for them too. We have to mention the victories. Yesterday, the killers of a man named Aubrey were finally brought to justice, 3 racists. Yes! That's a small victory, but we count every single one. Tomorrow, the farmers in India are celebrating because they won against Modi's farm laws. That's a huge victory, What they did, they beat back the corporations, they beat back Modi, and they're not stopping until those laws are completely abolished. So there's an event tomorrow. I think the India High Commission is just over the road, so we hope that some of you will come along again tomorrow, 12 to 2, at the India High Commission. I just wanted to finish by saying we always start with mothers and carers. It's mothers, it's women and children who are often growing the food, looking after the land and the soil and the people. And often women are left out of the count, and we have to stop doing that because women are absolutely at the forefront of everything. The second point I wanted to make is that I'm glad somebody mentioned the criminal enterprise because that's what we're up against, but we're also up against billionaires. The billionaires are pocketing our money and they're ruling, and unless we take back the money from their pockets, we're done for. But I feel we can do it. Looking at us here today, we'll take that money back. So we're demanding a care income for people and planet so all of us can thrive. We support this court case. We hope you'll win. Whatever happens, we'll keep up the struggle. We're not going back. Stay strong, stay together, we can do it.
Okay, greetings everyone. My name is Esther Stanford-Kosei and I'm the Coordinator General of the Stop the Maangamizi We Charge Genocide Ecocide campaign. We are, of course, very pleased and honoured to be working with the Global Majority Versus, including also with Plan B, in bringing this case. And our role is really to look at the extra legal dimensions of this case and what it takes in terms of building our resistance to be the change, to challenge these courts of the foxes. And let's be very clear, our rights that have been denied, our sovereign rights, are not going to be granted in courts of the foxes. But we have a responsibility and a duty to hold them to what they say they are and what they do. But at the same time, it's about not being reliant, because we have to build the alternative. We have to build the alternative justice from below that is in the hearts of a people that have survived and have resisted centuries of degradation, dispossession, and oppression. So we know, and how we see this case, it's a reparatory justice case. That's what it means to our communities. These are not just 3 young people, Ade, Kobina, and Marina. They are young people who are part of communities of resistance, originating in the global south, in Africa, in Abya Yala. And their communities, our communities, are watching these proceedings. But at the same time, they are part of building the alternative. And what is that alternative? When we talk about the reparations or the repair, for us, it's about planet repairs. And that is the nexus between reparatory justice, environmental justice, and cognitive justice. Because part of the harm is not only the genocide and the ecocide, but the ethnocide. And the meaning of that is the destruction of a culture, our way of life, our way of living in harmony with the earth, our Mother Earth. That is what is at stake here. for us to re-establish what right relations, not only with each other, but with how we relate to our mother and the resources of our mother that sustain all our lives. So this institution is also on trial today. And that is the challenge. Will those so-called judges and lawmakers, of which we also are, will they listen to the conscience of humanity in their decisions and deliberations today? And that is all that we can put before them, because our truths and our realities are being built, and we have to build that alternative in terms of the transformative adaptations that we need to make if we are to guarantee our lives and our futures on this planet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Auntie. We are going to have to enter the courts now, but we're going to have some. I'm sorry, let me speak with rhythm. We have to enter the courtroom soon. Solidarity continues outside of the room. Just to say that people are welcome in the courtrooms to bear witness to this as well. Young people of global majority communities from the global south are being prioritized, but we want as many people in there as possible, so please come in if you have the time to do so. I'll just introduce Yvonne from Moore, Glasgow.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here to support my young sister, my young brother, and the community, and not just this community, but also my future generation, my children, their children, and their children. But most importantly, I'm here to bear witness for the young people in Glasgow, for young people who have been impacted by a hostile environment policy, for young people, children in Glasgow who are born and they are placed in a unit called the Mother and Baby Unit, and the only crime is that their parents are seeking international protection. International protection because, and the reason why they have to seek international protection is because the very same court here of injustice decided that the very rights that are enshrined into the Refugee Convention, that they will not oppose these rights. I'm here to bear witness for people who have ended their lives by suicide because these very courts refuse to uphold their rights. I'm here to bear witness for young people who have no access to employment, education, decent housing, or dignity because of a hostile environment policy that states that people who seek international protection are only eligible to live under £6 a day. I'm here to bear witness for young people in Glasgow, and it's not just in Glasgow, I speak of Glasgow because I live in Glasgow, and Glasgow is a dispersal city for people seeking international protection. And I'm here to bear witness that this very court of injustice refused to honor the rights of people who are fleeing persecution that are based on the fact that wars, unjustified wars, that are sanctioned and are waged by this government, by this country, and that are sanctioned by the very law. And I'm here to bear witness for people who have lived here all their lives. People like my grandmother who came here on the Windrush boat, my grandmother who came here. However, her children and her descendants are not able to live in a country that she not only that she died here building, but so many other people from the Caribbean, so many people from India, so many people from various countries who come here and build this country. However, we are not able to benefit from the wealth of their labor. We're not able to benefit from that. So this is what I'm here to bear witness to. So I'm here to say that I see what is happening, and I stand with the young people, and I'm happy that I'm here to bear witness. And this is an era of change. We will not stand by and be mere bystanders anymore. We are here and we are coming, and we are not just standing here. We are part of a movement that is here to claim our rights, and rights that belong to us. And I really love that song where it says that we're not victims. Yeah, we're an endangered species, but we are not victims. We have never been victims. We have always been fighters. We were travel. We were. I don't know if anyone has seen the photos of how when we were enslaved, our people, we were shipped, we were packed like sardines, and we were able to resist that. So when you see us, we have never been victims, and we can never be victims. And we're walking in this court of injustice as the regal people that we are, the people that royalty flows within our blood. True royalty, royalty that upholds truth, royalty that defends the defenseless, royalty that stands for truth. And we're walking in there with our head held high, because these are the people who we have been resisting from day one. We have never been defeated. Thank you very much.
Young people, people of the global majority, let's go.
Young people and people of the global majority, please make your way through to the court.
Hi people, the sound is prepared to use, come say your piece, come sing, come chant, come spoken words, whatever you just like to, please can use it, so yeah. There's the audio switch in the mic. Yes.
We want you to come, so that if they don't
Zeli and Ines. Can we speak to the live stream?
Yes. Can you help me with putting that in? This one? Yes. Put it in. Yes. There's exile. Push it in very nicely. Click it. Yeah.
Is it clicked?
I think so. Yeah, nice.
Okay, so previously the courtrooms, we had emailed in advance to clarify the capacity of the courtrooms, and we had said that they said we were allowed up to 50 to 70 people because we have a large courtroom. However, now on the day of the trial, less than an hour before, they said only 9 members of the public are allowed to enter, which, yeah, it's a public hearing. The courtroom is called 2, so if you would like to come down, please come down and show your support. But they should not be turning any single person of the global majority away from this case, which bears direct impact upon them.
Thank you.
You don't have to say if you can just pass it back to them, they don't need to say which, they don't have to give any information of which courtroom they're going to, but it's called 2. So we called 2. Yeah, we don't need to give information. Don't say that's called 2, just say so. We don't need to give information.
Say a few words Exile UK?
Oh no, sorry, I don't. So we're not entitled to say which court we're going to. So we are allowed to go to the court. Yes.
The only problem is I'm not allowed to.
You're going to have to stay here. Is that okay?
Yeah,
because they're going to probably try to turn some of us away.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Let's see what happens.
UK government institutions are supporting activities which contribute to the climate and ecological emergency. UK government is backing deadly mining companies which ruin and destroy the livelihoods of communities across the world. UK's company, for example, GCM Resources, wants to build a massive coal mine in Bangladesh by displacing 130,000 people from a densely populated area. GCM is one of a string of London-listed mining companies linked to the murder and massacres of protesters, including Lomin, Glencore, Kazakhstam's ENRC, Essar, African Gold Barrick, Barrick Gold, Anglo Gold, Ashanti, and Monterico Metals. These are unjust activities, and these need to be challenged now.
No worries.
Challenged now.
Specifically on a particular platform. It's basically a tool that allows people to make a forum, and it is basically like you create
and a chance for everybody to, because like my room is like nice, but it's quite packed. I have like, there's so many pieces of
furniture in your room.
Yeah. So like, and it was all provided. So like.
Hiya, would you like to say a few words of how you're feeling as you're going?
Very aware that this is a long game. Very aware that this is a long game. And interested in how things pan out in the courts of colonial law and courts of justice. Let's just see how things pan out.
Thank you. Would you like to say a few words of how you're feeling?
I'm angry.
Angry?
Very angry. Time to leave some anger here.
Would you like to share a bit more about the anger?
The anger is just based upon this place, being in this place, and understanding what you're coming to find here. You're going to see very little of it. So I'm just here to be angry.
Okay.
Smiling.
That's it.
Para el mal gobierno del Reino Unido, que ha estado también atentando contra nuestras comunidades, que como desde hace 500 años han tratado de conquistarnos, no lo han logrado. Tenemos un mensaje para ellos.
Desde la Tepelmecali, la Casa de los Pueblos en Juan C. Bonilla, Puebla, México, les mandamos un saludo de solidaridad a la mayoría global, hermanos que luchan en contra del gobierno del Reino Unido, ese gobierno que viola sistemáticamente nuestro derecho a la vida en los territorios de América, Asia y África, y financian proyectos de muerte y financian el cambio climático que asesina nuestras tierras, que contamina nuestras aguas y que nos arrebata a nuestros hermanos. Les decimos, hermanos de la mayoría global, que no están solos. Aquí se respeta la ley de los pueblos y se los decimos también a los gobiernos como los del Reino Unido, que seguiremos en pie de lucha y que no dejaremos que sigan destruyendo nuestros territorios para enriquecerse y que sigan despojándonos. Compañeros de mayoría global, no están solos, no están solos, no están solos, no están solos, no están solos.
live streaming for XR. Would you like to say a few words on why you're here today? Hi. Just a few words how you're feeling by walking into this case. It's a very historical moment. That's alright, no worries guys.
Sorry.
It's okay. Hi guys, would you like to say a few words on how you're feeling by walking into the Royal Court of Justice today?
Yeah, okay. Do it together.
Thank you for speaking to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a world court of injustice. I don't think we think justice comes from this place, but it's important to hold them account, to put them on the platform and see which side they stand on. I don't think we have faith in them, but we're here to expose them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Here to like win back what's ours and stuff. The speeches were like so energizing today. So I have like all the faith in the young people that are going forward with this.
100%.
I'm actually really interested to see how it goes, because I think the interaction of struggles for justice with this legal system is not sure how that will play out, so I'd be interested to see.
Brilliant. What's your hopes for today and your fears?
The platform that is here will mobilize people, a mass movement across the globe.
Sure, and that more people will take their governments to court?
That might be part of the strategy, but I don't think we'll win in court. I think we'll win in the streets and in workplaces and on picket lines.
Thank you. Hi guys, would you like to say a few words of how you're feeling about queuing for going inside the Royal Court of Injustice today?
I've already said. Oh, you already said? I feel like it's very important. I've never been inside, so I don't know what it's like. I just tried to like accidentally, I don't know, I tried to give some stickers to the people I think who work here, and they kind of ignored it. But I'm getting the vibe already. I think it's quite like
it's gonna be quite proper.
Grumpy.
Yeah, grumpy. Right. Thank you. Hello. Would you like to say a couple of words for XR? Why we here today? How are you feeling?
All right. I'm trying to see someone who's more. This gentleman might want to. Would you like to speak about what's happening here?
Oh,
no.
That's alright. We've covered the event. Just wanted to see how you feel.
Super late, so I don't want to say nothing. Really.
That's alright.
But I watched it all online, but I missed it all.
That's all good. Hi guys. Hello. Would you like to say a few words? How you feel about what's happening today? Just for a time.
Oh, that's good. This is good.
That's okay.
I might take the
Well, hi there. Hello. Yeah, it's quite a significant day today. I mean, it's the people taking the government to court. How do you feel about this occasion?
Moved and
have announced
humbled and
1191.
Expanded.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's about. It's about taking the vision somewhere else, isn't it? And expanding out to the world and remembering how small we are and the bigger picture.
The Jubilee though is very exciting because it's in Torah and it's very interesting.
What kind of impact do you think it might have on the legal system?
Well, I really hope that the power of the honesty and people standing up in court in front of this kind of archaic, outdated, crumbling system, just the honesty and the groundedness of what's actually happening.
Do you believe it's a good idea?
It's powerful, and they will feel it, and we will feel it. Change is happening, and we're witnessing that as well.
It's part of the resistance. Thank you very much. See you later. Alright, let's go back in.
Peace and blessings and black power to you all the global majority. Obubaka buno bugenda eri UK government. UK government tebuvudde mu nze nzekka ng'omuntu kinnomu wabula tuli bangi 10 totolodde ensi namba. bye tusaba bye biriwa bye bino tusaba obwenkanya tusaba eddembe ly'obuntu banna abantu baffe yonna gye bali oba yonna gye tuli tetulina kufa njala tusaba equality ate tusaba UK bannaye omugyeyo emikono mu byobufuzi byaffe oba engeri ffe gye tuoperatingamu bannaye tusobola okwekolera bino ebintu kubanga mwe mubeerawo muba mutucyankalanya bucyankalanya so nga 25 nga tugenda mu courts UK muwulirize ebintu byaffe ensonga zaffe muziwulirize ate muzigobeko byebyo.
My name is Adetola. I'm 24 years old, and with 2 other young people, we'll be taking the UK government to court. We're taking the government to court because of their human rights violations and climate inaction that affects our communities, my family right now in the global south, or as we call it, the global majority. The UK has historic international responsibility to help the most vulnerable communities to adapt, and it is not doing this. It's in violation of our rights to family life, which includes having a healthy environment, and our rights to not be discriminated against. They, and along with the UK courts, are legalising genocide and ecocide of our families, our communities and our lands. And that's why we will be at the Royal Courts of Justice this Thursday at 9 AM. Please join us to show your support, solidarity, and to have your say about the crimes against humanity that the UK government is committing. Ashe.
Hi, my name is Kobina. I'm 23, and I'm one of 3 co-claimants alongside our communities who are taking the UK government to court. Now, we know the UK government is violating our rights. They're violating our right to life, our right to family life, our right to not be discriminated against. And we as a global community, as the majority of the world's peoples, are on the receiving end not just of criminal neglect, but of criminal violence and active contribution to the genocide of our peoples. And the UK government has replied and is arguing that genocide, mass displacement, the starvation, famine, droughts, you name it, which are all the products of what they are doing, what they're financing around the world, that all of that is objectively justified. Now, we know that's not the case. Come down this Thursday at the Royal Courts of Justice at 9 AM, where we'll be taking the government to court. This is your campaign, and we are the global majority. So please do come down and support. Thank you.